Russian troops who occupied a nuclear power plant in Chernobyl may have been exposed to significant doses of radiation. This is according to Ukraine's state energy company. And the International Atomic Energy Agency also says tonight that when Russian troops first occupied the site, movement on the ground released radiation. Now, radiation exposure at high doses can cause horrific damage to internal organs and bone marrow, according to the CDC and the Mayo Clinic. It can be absolutely horrific in terms of death. David McKenzie is out front. And David, what else do we know about this?
Well, Erin, we're putting the pieces together on this story, and it could be very disturbing. You remember those disturbing images of tanks heading into Chernobyl in the early start of this conflict, and you had the Russians taking over Chernobyl, effectively having those workers hostage. Now, more details are coming in. Apparently, according to that agency you described, these Russian soldiers were digging in, putting fortifications and trenches right in what is known as the Red Forest. Now, this is inside the exclusion zone, that area around Chernobyl after the worst nuclear accident of its kind in history, which saw some of the worst fallout from those reactors. And if they were in that area and digging trenches, experts believe they could have really been exposed to high levels of radiation. That agency saying the last 24 hours or so that Russian soldiers were panicked. They have been leaving over the last 24 hours, and that area is now under Ukrainian control, we believe. But unclear just how sick, if at all, those soldiers, those young soldiers are. You remember also that the Russians have come under great criticism on the actions around nuclear reactors using heavy artillery around Zaporizhzhia. They are still in control of that nuclear site. The head of the Atomic Energy Agency today telling CNN that there might have been some rise in radiation levels because of the heavy armor in that area of Chernobyl. He says that might have come down, and they're urgently seeking answers from the Russians of whether there is any kind of sickness from those soldiers in the aftermath of them departing Chernobyl. He also says he's looking to head to that zone as soon as possible to investigate. Erin?
All right, David, thank you very much. It is incredibly disturbing. I want to go now to James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence under President Obama, a retired lieutenant general in the U.S. Air Force. And, General, this has been something from I remember talking to you from Ukraine when they first came to Chernobyl, and you had such serious concerns about it. So, you know, the mainstream line we heard that day was, well, the Russians of all people know the danger of Ukraine. They certainly wouldn't put soldiers who don't know what they're doing on that attack field, right? They're putting in people who know what they're doing. It's Chernobyl, for God's sake. But now we're hearing young soldiers are driving through a no-go red forest, kicking up radiation, building trenches in it, possibly. What's your reaction when you hear this, General?
Well, Aaron, first, just incredible recklessness or incompetence or stupidity or all of the above on the part of the Russians, that they could be so cavalier about a sensitive area like Chernobyl to allow their troops to dig trenches. It's just ridiculous. Words fail me. And the other thing this shows, though, is how vulnerable these places are, notably Chernobyl, where the shield, such as it is, the earth is pretty thin. So I've been concerned about this from the outset for all 15 of the Russian or the Ukrainian nuclear reactors.
Yeah.
And if something, an attack, errant bomb, errant missile, we could have a real disaster on our hands.
And, you know, it's also amazing to me, General, that Russia sent these young kids into nuclear power zones without proper training or education. And in some cases, they didn't even know where they went. I mean, there are some reports that some of these kids didn't even really literally understand what Chernobyl is, the meaning of that word. I mean, what do you think this could mean for Russian troop morale if some of these soldiers are indeed very sick, as some reports indicate they are, when we already have clearly so many issues within the Russian military on morale?
Well, at first, it shows the almost total disregard for Russian troops. They just apparently consider them as cannon fodder, as expendable. Now, this sort of thing undoubtedly has already gotten around among the troops, whose morale not very good to start with. Then you add this and the Russian leadership total disregard for the safety and welfare of their troops. That does not bode well for their morale.
General Clapper, thank you very much.